Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bravery Behind the Brand podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Jane, and today I have with me Zoe Plumley. Hello, Zoe,
Hello, Amanda. It's lovely to be here.
and thank you for joining me. Now, Zoe runs LNL Coaching and Virtual Assisting Services, and she has a very interesting background story, which I'm going to get to a little bit later. But before we do, I'm going to find out what motivates her. So, what's your favorite motivational song?
So I have to write it down because otherwise I forget it, but it's Moments We Live For by In Paradise. So it's one that I found on a Facebook reel and I had to then YouTube it. So I don't know if that's the actual like proper person that sang it. I don't know, but that's the song that I play on YouTube um when I need to pick me up, which is generally every morning with my cup of coffee.
I love that. You know, when you hear a piece of music and just like, I have to hear it all, and you
Yeah.
go searching it. What's it called again?
Moments We Live For by In Paradise.
I'm going to look that up. I just love that. I do that too. I'll hear a little clip and then I'll
Yeah.
go and find it. And I actually went years ago before you could buy music online. I remember going into HMV,
Yeah.
humming a tune and saying, have you heard of this song? And they did. They were able to deduce it. So and that's what we did in the olden days, kids.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I just
I
did my
can't
son a
believe I
bottle
did that.
yesterday, and he was like, "What's one of those?" I was like, "Okay, now I officially feel old."
I know things just move so fast, and then
They
when
do.
the young person says something, just like, yeah, that's just not acceptable in my brain.
No.
And do you have a motivational quote?
So I do. So I have two, and I couldn't decide, but these sit above my desk. I can read one to you. It's by Christopher Reeve, and it's a hero is an individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles.
Oh, I love that. Oh, yeah, that is so good.
It's
As
amazing.
and for him for what he endured as well. Oh, that really touches me. That's beautiful. Did you say you had another one? Let's have two.
I do, I do. I don't know who this one was by, but it's if you weren't capable, the opportunity wouldn't have come your way. Believe in yourself. You've got this.
Oh, I like that as well.
I know, and they both sit above my desk. So every morning, that's
That
what
is
speaks to me.
perfect. Oh, I love that. And just whenever you glimpse those little reminders, it just gives you that little kick, doesn't it, to carry on? Because I
Absolutely.
think we can all get bogged down with, oh, I can't do this anymore. Just,
It's so
oh,
easy to do that.
I love those. Thank you for sharing those. They're amazing. And then my next question is only because I'm nosy. Do you read?
I do.
Do you have
I
a
do
favorite book?
read. So I love I don't have a favorite book. I have a favorite genre, which is literally trashy romance novels. So give me a really, really cheesy, romantic, like my nan used to read like Mills and Boons.
Oh,
That's like a really like soppy, cheesy, romantic slash essentially. That is my kind of guilty
oh.
pleasure.
That's so good because you need all that escapism, don't you?
You
I
do.
just like
Absolutely.
anything that stops me thinking because my brain will constantly process stuff. But if I watch a film or read a book that's just totally out of my normal everyday stuff, I
Yeah.
can completely unwind and relax. And I love no matter what it is, romance, thriller, and I love World War II dramas
Okay.
and anything to
Yeah.
do with France and the resistance and all of that, which is so far, hopefully, so far removed from
Yeah.
the war
Good.
now, yes. And it's brilliant. It just takes you away just for a couple of hours to a different world. Yeah, absolutely love it. And I remember once I picked up a book and it was a really, really good story and I loved it. But I didn't realize to the end it was actually Mills and Boone,
Oh
um,
wow.
which is really interesting, and it wasn't really a genre that I would have picked up, but I remember the story really well and it was just so beautifully told. So yeah, I have a huge reading list and I've always got various books on the go. So thank you for sharing that. That's absolutely
Very
gorgeous.
welcome.
So tell us about your business and what or who inspired it.
So to start with who inspired it, would be my children. So my name, if you like, is named after my children. So the two L's are Logan and Lana. So they're my now 14 and 4-year-old. So they're my reasons for why. But it was because I wanted to help people. Um, I historically was in nursing. I was in nursing for just under 15 years, and I had to stop that because of my health challenges. And that was really, really difficult because that was something I was really passionate about, and I loved doing it. And to suddenly go, you can't do that anymore, is really, really hard. And to then you sort of lose a place of your identity. And it was around the same time that I moved to Wales. And I moved to Wales because I had to go into a domestic abuse refuge, into Women's Aid. And it was all really, really, I call it higgledy-piggledy. I mean, that's making light of it and then some now, because it was really traumatic at the time. But I really lost who I was. And I bumbled around for a couple of years, different jobs that weren't so physically demanding. I have chronic asthma, I have rheumatoid arthritis, heart conditions. Like, there isn't much wrong with me. My kidneys, maybe they function quite well, but generically, So, I've worked in healthcare recruitment, compliance, safeguarding. Um, I had a lovely little office job, which I loved. Unfortunately, got made redundant from there. New job, very, very similar role. And 6 weeks into that job, I fell pregnant with my littlest L, with Lana. And
Oh,
an hour after telling my employer, I was terminated.
no,
Yes, which
really?
devastated. That absolutely broke me. It was, I have my big L, I have little L on the way. What on earth do I do? And then literally within weeks, COVID happened,
Oh,
which, as we can all imagine, was just, although it was, I can't believe it was 5 years ago now, it was a massive just entity for us all to have to deal with.
yeah.
Um, so I went, okay, what can I do? Because I'm not one to feel sorry for myself unless I have a cold. If I have a cold, I am the biggest wimpy, grumpy person in the
Oh,
world. But generically, I'm not one to feel sorry for myself. I always want to. There's always someone worse, in a worse position than you are. There's always a silver lining to everything. Sometimes you have to find it, but there is always one essentially. Um, so I took this as a, what can I do to find me again, to go back to what do I miss out of, my life? And it was, I missed helping people. So I went and I got my coaching qualifications. So I gained my NLP qualification, my coaching qualification, my timeline therapy qualification, and I launched my coaching practice with the aim to help people. And it was to specialize in working with people that were business owners with health conditions, disabilities, and neurodiversity. Because what I didn't want was for anybody to feel as lost and as alone as I felt. Often we're given a diagnosis and it's, there you go, there's that, get on with it.
mhm.
And there's so much build up to, tests and appointments and everything. And there's so much support while you're going through this process. And then you get given this label essentially, and it's, there's it all, bye. And, I remember with my rheumatoid arthritis diagnosis, my consultant would ask me, well, how does it affect you? And I've gone, have you ever tried to change a baby? Like it's nappy with no thumbs. It is impossible. If anybody knows how to do it, please feel free to email me after this. But if you hear this podcast,
Yeah.
because I couldn't do it, it was absolutely detrimental, and there was no support. Um, and at that time, I had not long opened a printing business, and that was going really quite well. But I physically couldn't do it anymore. My partner developed long COVID, so he worked in a care home for learning disabilities. Unfortunately, caught COVID from there. It developed into long COVID, and he's now permanently disabled. But he couldn't work the presses either, so it was a case of shut it down. If there had been someone out there that could support me at that point, that could have offered me, I'm here for you, here's some guidance, here's some support, just, here's a shoulder if you need to cry on, if there's a mountain to scream off, then that could have made a massive difference to me. But we shut that down. So yeah, so I got my coaching qualifications. And it wasn't long after that, again, going back to helping people, if someone said to me, oh, do you know, I'm sorry, I can't focus on this session this today. All I want to do, I've just got this form that I need to get done, on my inbox just keeps dinging, or I'm so overwhelmed with this. And I'd be like, just give it here. I'll sort it for you. It's fine. If any coaches are listening, that is not what a coach is meant to do. But that's how I work. Because I want to help. I want to take away that stress from people. I found out during one of my peer supervision sessions that it was what a VA does. I was like, oh, okay, my bad. So I then, just okay, we all learn things. Every day is a school day. So I then looked into it a bit more and went, oh yeah, that is literally what I'm doing. So I launched the VA services. Um, Same specialist area. Now we support everyone. So you don't have to have a health condition, don't have disability, neurodiversity. Heck, you can have a broken leg and we support you, but you don't have to have that. But that is our niche area. So we support everyone from coaches to authors to electricians, you name it, we do it. But we offer specialist guidance with body doubling, accountability sessions, as well as all your traditional bits and bobs. And that then grew. And I grew a team of 15 associate VAs, which was incredible. And then we grew again, and we then launched disability benefit support, advocacy support, blue badge support, everything that, again, was so desperately needed, but we just didn't have, society doesn't have it anymore. The budget cuts, that it's just horrendous. The access to that support just isn't there. So we're, again, trying to fill as many gaps as we can. I'm hoping that we're succeeding with that. You know, in November we were one of the finalists. We weren't the finalist, but we were in the shortlisted lot for the Dyslexia Association Inclusive Workplace Award. So, you know, we're doing the right thing. And now we're going off and we're doing disability inclusion training, accessibility training, corporate you know, access. Basically, people sometimes forget how important that is, that it doesn't matter if it's your employees, your clients, if you can make your company more accessible, more inclusive, it opens up doors to so many different people, to so many more feelings, and actually just it makes it a nicer place to be in, and you just don't feel judged. So we're working on that, and we've also just launched our CIC again to help people that, you know, to bridge that gap essentially, so that people have a purpose in life, that whether that's going to self-employment, back into supported employment, just volunteering, not just as totally the wrong, but volunteering. You've got that support and that purpose, and that's what we want to do. We want to make that difference to people.
What a story. And you know, there's one word that popped into my head when you were telling your story. I hope you don't mind me saying, but all I see when I look at you is resilience. You just you just went from one tr- problem to the next problem to the next problem to the next problem, and you were dealing with that. And I just thought you must have the most incredible resilience to have moved on through all those challenges, which really would have made a lot of people buckle under. And you know, you've got your children, and you had your problems with your previous relationship, and then you're setting up this business, and then this happened, and then your partner had long COVID, and I just think, wow, that resilience in one human being is a lot. And you're clearly destined for entrepreneurship and to help other people. And it's people like you that inspire other businesses and think, well, actually, I want to do that. And even, if we can have a fraction of your resilience, a lot of people will be, heading in the right direction. But that is just so unbelievably just such an inspiring story. And you're talking about the baby and the thumbs. I didn't have any challenges like that, when my girls were little, but it was still challenging. So I understand what you're saying, and I don't know how you managed to do the things with all the challenges. You must have felt like physically your hands were tied behind your back when you were looking after small children, because it's hard work anyway. And then with additional challenges, I'm in awe of the fact that you just resiliently moved on to the next thing. And but what you said interested me as well. If anyone understands coaching, that's not what a coach does. I'm also a qualified coach, so I know what coaches do. But what you found in that was it's such a cliche, but it's so true. Necessity is the mother of invention. Even,
Yeah.
you're a coach, but you find an area where people needed support. So
Yeah.
that's an area for business. And I just think, wow, that's incredible. You start up this business to do this thing, but you need to fulfill a need that these businesses need this other thing. So there's no reason why you can't have a multi-strand business. And I just think, oh wow, that's so incredible. But write these things down, write your experiences down, because at someday, you're going to you have to write a book, and
I have co-authored one. So
have
as part of
you?
I don't think I've got one handy. I was part of a group collaboration book called Courage. So if you go onto Amazon, you will find it, and I'm in there as a chapter. So not my whole story, but a good chunk of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And and the whole talk about resilience and things. What I didn't mention was last year we launched a Disability Inclusion Summit, and it was in a virtual event, but that was pure. That's literally, you summed it up, which is why I thought of it. We want people to look at the speakers and go, wow, if they can do it,
Mhm,
so can I.
mhm,
And if we can light people's fire in their bellies to make them go, you can do it. It doesn't matter,
mhm.
you know. if you have a diagnosis, doesn't matter if you have a barrier, you can do it because look at what we've achieved. And that's an annual event now as well. I absolutely love that. That's a passion project for me because it just lights everyone's fires and it's just inspirational. So
It
yeah,
is.
if I
And
look
you
at that,
said my favorite words. I hate labels. I refuse to label anyone with anything. And you said you used that word about labels. And there's no reason why anyone can't do whatever they want to do.
yeah,
But either society's going to pin that label on you, or somebody's going to want to pin that label. And my instinct is to reject that label. And I always like to, when you talk about people, um, I always say like we're varying degrees of ability because we all have varying degrees of ability. And
absolutely.
that's precisely it. And I know from experience in the workplace, for example, some disabilities are hidden and you don't know what someone is going through, but you also don't know the simple adjustments and a good conversation can make to that person's world. And it's the same with entrepreneurship and the same, in that sort of different world. But having a good conversation, just getting a little bit more information and being able to
Absolutely.
talk to someone like you that you can signpost and say, "Oh, did you know? Did you know?" But the damage that a lack of access to information can do can be catastrophic. So my ethos is just make sure that you can talk to people, you can access information, but that you can approach someone that will help you with that conversation. And I love the sound of your summit is just incredible. And with a few adjustments, a kind conversation, you can change the world for so many people. And there might be someone with lacking a little bit of confidence, but thinking, well, I can do that. And that just builds that confidence a little bit more. So you just never know who's watching you from the sidelines thinking, wow, that's amazing. So I absolutely love that. And I probably don't need to ask this next question, and it's about your biggest challenge. So you probably just covered it, face building your brand and how you overcome it. But I think you've just covered that so beautifully. But I'll go on to the next one. If you could give yourself a piece of advice then, going back to that employer, that is horrendous. And I won't sort of open that can of worms. But if you could give yourself one piece of advice at a point in time, what would it be?
To And the irony of this advice is not lost on me. When I was younger, I lost the ability to walk. I was in an accident, so I was paralyzed for a couple of years. So the irony of this is not lost because I like my legs. I like moving my legs very, very quickly now. But walk before you run. I built my business very, very quickly. It literally snowballed. And I am so grateful for it. But what it ended up being out of control. And I actually had to break down parts of my business, which was heartbreaking, but it wasn't stable. I hadn't built the foundations. So that would be my advice is to make sure that you walk, don't run. It's not a race. Make sure you've got those sort of foundations in there, and that's in life, in work, in whatever aspect it is. If you don't have the sort of foundations, then you can't build, and you're always going to be a little bit wibbly wobbly, and no one wants that.
And it's so true because I know people, and I know from myself as well, when you see people and they're like, oh, this isn't happening quick enough and I'm not getting anywhere. I know myself, if I go back to my journey and I think, well, if what I wanted had happened at that point, I wasn't equipped for it. I didn't
Yeah,
have the systems in place. I didn't have the time that I needed. I didn't have my own framework ready,
yeah,
but the minute that you start getting bombarded with clients and they want stuff, it doesn't work. And I know other people that are hugely successful that it kind of sent them off in a different direction. While they were wonderful at what they did, everybody just went, oh, I want you, and they just couldn't cope. But you're
yeah,
right. I think you need to be clear on what it is that you want to do, have the foundations in place and all the structure behind that, especially if you're a parent and you have other, demands on your family. How are you going to fit all that in? Do you have the right support? You can always earn more money, but you can never get more time. And it's those things, and you could find yourself in the early days literally working 24/7
yeah.
and
I think we've all
living
done
with
that.
health concerns. You have to stop and look after yourself, and you have to take those breaks, and you have to rest. And again, I think that's another thing that people don't do. They don't do the self-care properly. They don't stop and take a break. And that is such good advice, sort of walk before you run. And you do see people eager to try and kick off, but I kind of think that things happen for a reason and things just flow in the way that they're supposed to. No, but I quite like that. So, how comfortable are you with your audience? Are you happy speaking in public or social media, or do you handle it in a different way?
So I think I am until I actually go to do it. So my summit is a brilliant example of this, where we had, over 100 attendees. We had 30 speakers, over 30 speakers, and it was beautiful. I loved it. And then the last session was me, and I got to the session for last, and I went, oh no, I've got to speak now. And then all of a sudden, these butterflies and this anxiety and this imposter syndrome was just like, ah. So yeah, I'll say, yeah, I don't mind speaking in front of people. I can do this, I can do that. And then I go to do it and I go, oh my days, this is absolutely terrifying.
Oh, oh, you poor thing. Oh, wow. That's so interesting. And it's, because different scenarios affect different people in different ways. Some people like a stage with a live audience because you can get that reaction and then, nodding the head and clapping and stuff. Some people are happy in this environment where we're talking and this will be released sort of later on, and that's fine. And I actually prefer a live social media. So I'm really happy going live on Instagram or Facebook or podcast or anything like that. What
Yeah.
I don't like is recording myself to put it
Okay.
on later because I'll do it and then, oh, don't like that. And then I'll re-record it. Oh, don't like that either. And then I'll re-record it. And that's like, that's the kind of thing I teach people. So I'm just like, you know what? Just go live and do it because you can't do it over. And, how bad is it going to be? But, for your summit, I think possibly, think about probably a lot of people were really, really interested in what you had
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
Oh, you poor thing. Well, I can prep you for your next one if you
Right.
do another one because
Sounds
I
good.
think
October,
all
approximately.
all those people that turned up to see you, it can be quite overwhelming. But oh wow, bless you. But you know what? The butterflies they can all be dealt with. But it just really interests me that different scenarios affect different people in different ways. And I know a lot of very successful, experienced business people would not go live ever. They would just never do anything live. Whereas I find that the most comfortable, which is just very, very strange. But anyway, but no, that's all right. So what about you on social media? Do you do lives on social media yourself, or do you rather just sort of post, or how do you handle your social media?
So I don't handle my social media. I have my team that handle my social media for me
Nice.
because it is my thing that drives me completely bonkers. We all have that one thing that we really don't like, and social media is that for me. I love scrolling, I love commenting and engaging with people, but actual social media is just my can't go as far as nemesis, but I don't like it.
Necessary
Um,
evil, really, isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So in terms of lives, I don't mind going live. My issue is I forget to go live.
Yeah.
And then when I do, it's a really quick rush job of crumbs, I haven't gone live for a while, I better quickly do it. And then it's not
Yeah.
necessarily as valuable or as structured, shall we say, is it like, I live in Wales, so half the time you have a sheep walking past the back of my head or something for all, for
You
all
know
our
what? That's so cute. I just think it's so cute. If someone goes live and there's something going on around them, I am so curious about their lives and what they're doing, and if someone says, "Oh, I'm just about to make the tea and I'm doing this," I'm just leaning in, going, "Oh wow," it's just people's ordinary everyday lives are strangely captivating.
You'd have loved the one of me chasing Lana around the garden then trying to get her in.
Oh, I absolutely love that, and that's what makes us unique and individual, and because you have this business persona and people expect you to behave in this certain way, but you're obviously not like that all the time. And for me, I kind of like sometimes I'm thinking, what can I do behind the scenes? Nobody really cares about my espresso martini on a Friday night or my big giant glass of. I've got this big giant glass that I make gin and tonic in, and
Okay.
it can hold like triple measures, maybe more. And I just keep pouring it in until it's full, but it's it's like a big fish bowl.
It's like one of those big glasses that like you could pour like a whole bottle of wine into sort of thing.
It's just like that. So I'm just like having this big giant gin and tonic, and then I'm just like, yeah, maybe people will be interested to see this. big giant tree. But those are the little quirks that make us stand out from, AI generated content and it's a funny thing. And if someone sort of likes a particular brand of chocolate or whatever, when you see that, you sort of associate yourself with that person. So honestly, sheep in fields and wheels, I am there. Although where I live is quite rural, but not quite that rural. But definitely, it just sounds absolutely idyllic. So what's next for you and your brand? Have you got any plans for the future?
So the next plan is we're actually doing a couple of launches. So we've literally just done a soft launch for our CIC, so that's going to grow. So we've got a lot of corporate wellbeing things coming in, which is lush. We've got like some wellbeing days, some virtual weight loss sessions, which is literally just you come in. Like again, it's I know when, my mum would always go to Slimming World, for example. There's not an endorsement in any way, shape, or form. I know not very little. It's okay, but that's where she would go. There's a lot of people that physically wouldn't be able to do that. So again, through the CIC, we can offer that support because I know I've done it where I've signed up to like wait, I can't even think of it, online thingamabobs,
Mhm.
and I'll weigh myself at home and I'll type it in and that's it done.
Mhm.
But I also, if I've got no one to talk to, I can be the first one eating about a chocolate out of the fridge or something along those lines. So we're offering that. We have like a masterclass this month, which I'm really excited about. But we're launching an agency program. So I am going to teach people how to grow an agency model in their business.
Yeah,
Because that's what I've
fantastic.
done really successfully with the VA business, and I've done successfully with other clients as well. So I've literally, I mean, with my VA company, I've quintupled my taxable income in a year, which is insane just by following this agency model. So we're launching that. So yeah, we've got a couple of exciting things coming up, and then obviously the summit again in October.
That's incredible. You're a powerhouse, unstoppable
I'm stubborn.
powerhouse.
I'm
Oh,
5'1" and stubborn.
oh, that is amazing. And do you know what is amazing as well? I think the children of entrepreneurs are really blessed because they get to see how you can earn money in a different way.
Oh,
Because I think a
absolutely.
lot of children think that you have to, and there's nothing wrong with going to school and going to college and university and doing a 9 to 5. Nothing wrong with that at all. But I love the fact that they can see there's also another way. And
Yeah.
there's lots of other ways. But I think children of entrepreneurs get this, to peek behind that curtain and say that there's other ways that they can do it. And I think, oh wow, that's incredible. Go you. I will be watching you very closely. So, with that in mind, then, what legacy would you like to leave behind?
I think my legacy would be that, well, there's a couple, I guess, but I guess it's one of those where don't sell yourself short, never write yourself off. You can always achieve whatever you want to achieve. You just have to go a little bit of a monkey road to get there, but never let anything stop you because anything is achievable, as long as you decide it's achievable.
And you've certainly not let anything stop you
Nope.
whatsoever. I just think you're just like straight line, just power on through regardless of what's happening. Oh, that is such good advice. Just never let anything stop you. So where can we find out more about you online? Have you got a website and and I'll put this
Yeah,
on the show notes, by the way, your website and your social
perfect.
media.
So yeah, so we have a website. So at the moment it's www.lnlvaservices.co.uk. Shortly it will, just because we did that even come out right? We're going to be incorporating the coaching of the VA. So we're going to be LNL services. So it will go to www.lnlservices.co.uk. So you may have to take out the VA part. You can find me as Zoe Plumley on LinkedIn. You can find me as LNL VA Services and also LNL Coaching Services, both on Facebook and Instagram. And then I also have a business support group, which is my free community, which is LNL Business Inclusion, which you can also find on Facebook.
Sounds wonderful. Well, I will put those on the show notes and people can click the link and follow all the wonderful things that you're doing. And Zoe, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a real pleasure talking to you, and I just can't believe your enthusiasm, your resilience, you're just you get up and go, and don't think anything would stop you really. And it wouldn't surprise me if in 5 years' time we see you on the cover of Time magazine or something.
That would be incredible. But yeah, I
I
think
have no doubt.
my 4-year-old at 4:30 in the morning is currently what's stopping me when she comes in.
Oh.
Oh, the joys of spring, and I'm like, no, where's the coffee pot?
Oh,
That's
do you know,
at the moment.
those days, as exhausting as they are, genuinely, they don't last forever and they do go by in the blink of an eye, trust me, but it is exhausting when you're in the middle of it. But thank you so much for joining me, Zoe. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.